Book.
Mini Carl. Right, one way around. Book. Mini Carl.
We've been watching Cougar Town. This is a little bonus review. We both read a text that we wanted to share with the channel, which is...
You can't see that in the camera.
Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Goethe?
I don't know.
Goethe. The Sorrows of Young Werther, which is one of the first novels that might be said to have become viral, maybe, in the modern parlance. It is a story of a errant gentleman who's buggering about Europe, you know, doing things and trying to find himself, and told primarily through the perspective of writing to his friend. It's sad.
It is sad, but...
we wanted to review it because we really enjoyed it.
It is sad, but is it? It's him...
We're also drinking a spoiler red wine, but I don't know the name of, from the Wine Society. Clink Livy's glass off camera. Resume.
But is it really? It's him that's sad. It's not so much... To say it's sad is like the whole world is sad and it's out of his control. Really, it's him that I think is sad.
Oh, that's lovely. Stone fruits.
Now I'm going to try it.
Big spoilers. It's called The Sorrows of Young Werther, and if you are familiar with this novel at all...
Right.
It's very interesting, isn't it? Bright and kind of stone fruits. Spoilers! It's got suicide.
Yeah, I mean, no, but like, I don't know, when you're like, it's sad, it makes me feel like a story where the
not
circumstances
like
are
Night
out of their
Eyes
control.
sad. It's sad because of the consequences. It's depressing, maybe is the better word.
It is. It's kind of a man slowly going mad, I think, is probably the best way that I'd describe it.
I think the better way to describe it is that the reason it went viral... That's such a good intro. The reason it went viral is because supposedly it sparked a wave of copycat suicides, and indeed is the first catalogued instance of copycat suicides.
People also wanted to be him, didn't they? His suit.
Dressed like this chap right there.
That suit became fashionable.
The blue waistcoat and the specific trousers. Yeah, they dressed like him, which is really sad.
Yeah, see, I found the book sad but not sad.
He basically falls in love with a woman.
Sense. Like, I feel like, for me, for something to be really sad, it needs to be circumstances that are happening outside of the character's control. Whereas with this, I really did feel like I wanted to scream at this character and be like, dude, back off. Like...
I want to focus on what Olivia just said because it's interesting. She said that it's only when external factors influence.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like that's the case with Sorrows of Young Werther, because it feels like the love he feels, so quick summation, he is exploring an area and douching about, falls in love with a woman who's already betrothed to be married, and then basically moves there desperate to be around her, but she is relatively happily married after a bit.
Yeah, she's not ever really interested
and so
in her.
He's the third wheel, and he cannot be with her. And so what do we do? And also she clearly does like him a little bit, but like not enough to leave her husband for
More
him.
of a kind of brother-sister kind of
Brother-sister
thing,
with a bit
isn't
of
it? Rather
infatuation, yeah.
I don't know, I just struggle to feel like if it was a different circumstance where either the other man didn't exist or both the other man and Werther had existed at the same time and she'd chosen the other one, but it's the fact that he kind of comes along.
They're already engaged.
Yeah, he knows what he's getting himself in for, and he just doesn't give up. And like,
he tries to leave.
She is never really interested. She kind of says I'm not interested, and he just persists and persists and persists until he goes
Yeah, she actually
crazy.
does change and turn him down twice.
Like, it's like if this was a modern contact, if this was a modern book, and the main character was a woman, she'd be completely written off as this crazy woman that needs to just back off because what's she doing? And when you put it in that kind of
well,
concept,
he does need to back off.
Yeah, it's like it's not sad.
The reason
it's
why
just...
I think it is sad, though, is because, especially the way it's written, it feels almost like the love he feels for her is like a curse. It feels like this otherworldly thing that draws him to her. He simply cannot be away from her, and we would now recognise it as, frankly, stalking. He is infatuated with her. He cannot escape her. And she likes him well enough. They get on very well. Like you said, brother and sister.
Yeah, they do get on well. They are close, but not in a romantic
way.
way.
And I think this is the point where it's important to mention that this is just a true story, the first third of it. The first chapter is just Goethe's life. That's what happened to him.
But the second half is in someone else that he knew who did commit suicide.
Yeah, but about a different person. He realised, oh no, I'm barking up the wrong tree, buggered off to get a job in a court, and then someone he knew had a very similar story, who then went on to kill himself. And so Goethe then just combined those two into one central character.
Which I do find very interesting.
Very interesting from a narrative perspective.
Yeah.
Cool as hell.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of that when I read it.
I thought that was a nice idea.
I thought
These
it was so
events
cool.
did all unfold, but not for the same person.
Or about the same person.
Yeah. So that was very cool. It was my favourite part of this book was the beginning bit. The kind of nice descriptions of him enjoying like, the countryside.
The bucolics, up to the word of the day. Bucolic atmospheres. And
he's just very calm. He's
giving
enjoying
some money
everything.
to some beggars and watching people, other spinning wheels or whatever.
Yeah, he's just kind of like, he enjoys a lot of the little things in life.
Yeah.
And that's really nice.
It's a man full of promise.
That very quickly goes.
You can actually, I actually really am looking forward to rereading it in a while and seeing the pivot from the man, because it's all told from him writing letters to his friend, who clearly does care for him. We don't get the friend's perspective until the very end when he writes.
It's after
he writes an
kills
editor's injection.
Himself,
yeah, he writes
and
it.
then it swaps.
Yeah, it's because he's dead. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but then doesn't it also go back?
He does briefly. The editor who is the friend puts a note in to say, I'm this and I'm just letting you know about this because of this, and then swaps back, and then it goes back to the end after he's dead. It's all told from that perspective of him writing to his friend in a kind of, no, I'm fine, I'm just having a great time, mate, don't worry. And there's just this decline in mental quality, and they become more and more erratic. It truly is like reading a diary of a man going mad.
It feels almost like if you swapped the love interest for like a vision of a ghost, it kind of feels like it could be a horror story. This kind of
it is very much like that.
Losing control, this kind of thing that's slowly driving you crazy. And I think that in older books you see that much more in horror with ghosts than you see with romance that isn't necessarily working out.
It is horror, isn't it? It's terrifying.
Yeah.
I think there's some really wonderful passages in here that both Olivia and I have independently highlighted.
Yeah, I saw a couple of bits that I've underlined.
Like just about like living. The most people spend the greatest part of their time working in order to live, and what little freedom remains so fills them with fear they seek out any and every means to be rid of it. What a thing our human destiny is. What just an intelligent and aware thing. But then they just get more and more deranged and mad.
He becomes obsessed. He forgets all those little things that interested him.
And that give his life meaning. And
he just becomes completely obsessed with her.
It's weird, and you know, it really is like watching a horror movie when you're just like, no, don't go in there. That's dumb. You're gonna die. Yeah. You know, like it really does feel like you're reading this. Like, what are you doing? Please
stop. Please leave.
And you can see everyone else is like, you need to control yourself. Werther, you must stop. And you can see his perspective just being like. Because he gives really intimate descriptions of events sometimes, and like really like play-by-play moments of an interaction with a person, and you're reading it, and he's giving this perspective, and he feels a certain way. So it's masterful writing. He feels a certain way about the experience, and you're reading it, and you're like, no, dude, you don't want that. Yeah. You gotta go. Just he has no connection to this place. He's just come here because it's chill and cool. I think he was allowed to take the waters or something, and because it was pretty.
Yeah, I can't even remember how he ends up.
He was just going through it, and then he fell in love with her. And he just stays and just won't leave. It's just like, this was what Goethe did. He just left. He was like, I cannot handle this. I have to go. What was the quote? I think maybe at the end. He talks about Goethe, the wave of suicides, copycat suicides, distressed Goethe quite strongly. The idea that people could suffer.
Probably didn't intend it. That wasn't really a thing at the time, was it? If you think of...
To him, it was a very personal experience.
Like 13 Reasons Why. I feel like that author... could have very easily anticipated the effect that book would have.
Yeah, I mean, you think he would, yeah.
Because it's modern, and that has happened before, so you know. Whereas in this time period, that wasn't something that was really known about or like that copycat thing.
Indeed. Well, this is the first instance of that.
You couldn't write your book thinking, oh no, this could cause other people to do this.
So yeah, he was very upset by it. What's that bit where he talks about, like, I just thought it was really powerful, and at the end he hated this novel as it became more popular because it was all anyone knew about him, because he went on to write a lot more and do a lot more things, and everyone was like, oh, you're the man who wrote Diary of Young Werther, I love that. And he's like, yes, but I also wrote other things. That was my first novel. I think it's he was 24 when he wrote this. Doesn't that make you feel shit? But he said of it that I suppose it must have, I'm paraphrasing, that it must have seemed prophetic and profound to someone who was in the same situation. And I think that's the reason why it inspired so many people to feel the same, because the emotions within this, unrequited love, the feeling of being trapped, the feeling of that your destiny is taken away from you. The idea that you have to be with this person. This very young, it's quite idealistic and young, and it burns very brightly. And I think someone who might read this and who's experiencing that, I think they could come away from this glorifying suicide as the right thing to do.
Yeah, well, isn't there some kind of hint at the end that the woman that he was in love with
she killed herself as
potentially
well.
killed herself?
Yeah,
so there is that kind of concept in there.
I will not
of,
say what became Charlotte. Lottie,
no,
yeah.
no. Yes.
I will not say I will not say what became of Lottie here. Will not mention it. I think the implication is she probably killed herself as well, out of guilt.
Doesn't it, though? That concept of like, oh, I can't have her, so I'm going to kill myself.
But then
also she then. Like, it's kind of like, then she realises that she loved me, and that actually I wasn't.
I don't think she killed herself because of him, like, in that way.
She felt guilty because he killed himself.
But isn't that so depressing?
But, I'm putting myself in the shoes of, like, the person that you're saying who's, like, reading this and feels like that. It's kind of telling them, hey, look, you can do this, and you can get this reaction.
We'll be together in the end.
Yeah.
It's toxic in a self-aware way. Whereas you brought up earlier 13 Reasons Why, it's toxic in a toxic way.
Yes, and I also think that the time periods that these were written in, the author of 13 Reasons Why should have known that her book had the potential to cause that. Whereas the author of this, don't know why I'm assuming it's a woman. Maybe because the main character's a woman. I don't know.
Main character's a man.
See, I actually think of the girl that killed herself as the main character.
The protagonist is the weird guy listening to the radio cycling around the entire town.
The problem is, though, that he is not...
We've already done a review of that in this channel.
I wasn't there.
Oh, that's true, yeah. we should do a video where we compare 13 Reasons Why and Diary of Young Werther.
In terms of their impact and...
In terms of societal impact.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I'm surprised that this book hasn't had modern retellings.
I agree. But I actually, you know what? I'm going to change that. I don't agree, because it doesn't need it. This reads so well.
That doesn't stop things from being retold.
That's very fair. But this reads...
Read Guy Corella. That didn't need to exist.
How many Star Wars different series are there? Just throw them away, they're done!
Yeah, exactly.
I've read Guy Corella, though. What's that?
It's terrible. It's a modern retelling of Cinderella.
I know about this.
It's terrible. I hate it. I don't really remember much from it, other than I hated it.
This reads really well. This reads super well. Like, obviously, it's 19th century style writing. Actually, earlier.
Yes, no, this is really...
18th century. 17 something, right? It reads really well. Yeah. It's very clear, and after it's a little dry in some bits at the beginning, and then as you get into it, you just fall into it. You really do. It just bit after bit after bit, and you just keep reading these really profound bits of text.
1774.
Look at that. Crazy. Before America was even a thing. It just feels so profound. It kind of like, our authors always want to be as profound as possible and write with great profundity. This feels like it's effortless.
Because it was a different time period. There wasn't all of these books to live up to this concept. It was just...
But I'm not glorifying this as a classic. I was trying to read it just on its own.
Yeah, but you have to take into account when it was written, for what the author had in their mind, their expectations, like the concepts that already existed.
I think it's one of the most profound texts I've ever read. I really do. This, East of Eden, undoubtedly number one, honestly, in terms of profundity. Yeah. Which I'm pretty sure is a word.
It is now.
Yeah, East of Eden. There's just so many times where I just want to highlight it and be like, oh yeah, that's good. That's good. You're right. You know what? I want something just like makes you think in a really deep way and reevaluate existence. Or as the pedophilic history teacher in History Boys described, the idea that an author could... he was like, what? the idea that an author could have a shared thought that you've had and have it written in paper but be centuries apart, and it's like a hand. I've mentioned this before in these reviews. Yeah. A hand reaching out to you, and you just get a momentary, brief clasp of connection with someone long dead. Wow, I'm not alone in the way I feel. And that's why reading is important for teenagers. That's how I got through teenagerhood. Books.
Fair enough.
Not friends.
What are they? Not
cool things. Books. That's why we do book reviews.
And not friend review?
Friend reviews. So yeah, overall,
I think you enjoyed it a bit more than me.
I did. I think so.
But you read it slower. I read it in a day.
I read it over several weeks.
And I think you got a lot more from it.
I read it very slow.
I definitely enjoyed the beginning the most. And the beginning is the least... like, the least story part of the story. And like, it was the part that was just setting the scene. I liked that. I thought he said quite a lot of things in that bit that I did resonate with. And then as it went on, he just got more and more crazy, and I couldn't really connect with him as much.
Here's a great idea. Oh, of Albert's constellation and Lottie's misery, I shall say nothing.
Yeah.
Let's read this book again on the days that it's set. So the first one, it begins book 1, 4th of May, 1771. Let's read that bit on the 4th of May, and then the next bit on the 10th of May, which is when it is, and the next bit on the 12th of May.
And go through it like that.
And then go through it over
how long is it?
It's a year and a half.
So yeah, we're in July, August. Okay, so quite a lot of it is January.
It goes all the way till December 1772.
So yes, you would.
A year and a half.
You would read it over.
That sounds so good. Let's do that.
You want to do that? All right. I will see you
4th of
on
May.
The 4th of May.
And it will be 250 years afterwards.
Oh wow. Okay. Sure.
No, 251. Shit.
Remember that for the 4th of May.
Just a set a reminder. All right. I would highly recommend that you read the Sorrows of Young Werther. I keep thinking diary. The Sorrows of Young Werther.
It kind of feels a bit like that because you get the dates and little snippets of his life at that point.
I think it's wonderful. Unique. I think it's a unique experience. I think I would put it on my top list of books persons should read.
Fair enough. I wouldn't go that far. I enjoyed it.
I wouldn't say that.
No, like you enjoyed it a lot more than me. That's fine. Like it was good. I'm glad I read it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to read it again. I just wouldn't say it was up there for me.
That's
okay.
Thank you for watching. Read Goth and like and subscribe. Oh wow, I've not been doing that for the last several videos. Your job from now on to tell me to like and to put the little like and subscribe, or
Thumbs
you'll
up,
end up
please.
like Young Werther. That's dark.
Yeah, don't say that.
That's bye.
Cut that.